Hello friends. It's still me, Sergey Puzanov. Today is another fishing trip. The dead of winter is in full swing. Because everyone's catches aren't very big. I hope we'll have better luck today. Although hopes are fading before our eyes, today is Monday. I hope on the weekend, judging by the tracks I found here. On the weekend, they fed the fish thoroughly, which means coming on Monday wasn't the best idea. Maybe I should have come on Tuesday, so the fish would have somewhat recovered after being fed abundantly. And by Tuesday, it might have been better to catch them properly, but nevertheless, I think you're always waiting for content from me. So let's try to catch something today. The location, I think many Moscow anglers, both amateurs and professionals, will recognize it's Loch Carino. Let's try to dig around here. I'll tell you about some interesting tips that are needed here, and they will be needed because there is an interesting bottom structure here. There are corresponding edges, how to deal with them. Well, we'll try to figure it out specifically with the presentation, because everything here depends exactly on the speed of the current, how weak or strong it is. The fish moves between two channels, but I'll explain this in more detail with an example. And most importantly, this is a popular place. I think you can see that anglers are constantly present here. Let's try to compete. Let's see what we can achieve. I think we should catch at least 10 fish in the deep. But still, there's a chance we might end up with none. Friends, winter is slowly retreating, which means spring is coming soon. At this time, as always, fishing exhibitions take place, and in this year I want to invite you to the exhibition at Crocus Expo called The World of Hunting and Fishing. Be sure to come from February 29th to March 3rd. From 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., the exhibition will be held all these days, which the organizers guarantee us will have a huge exposition in 2 halls of all the top fishing brands. Not only the Russian market, definitely, all companies will present some new products, our company included. I know from the website information that many companies this year will present some of their new products. Let's meet up, take awesome photos, discuss the new fishing season and all its modern perks. Crocus is very easy to reach. Trains and metro go there. Huge free parking, which allows you to get there comfortably and conveniently. See you at the exhibition. The main point on the example is, as I said, 2 ditches. What are these 2 ditches? Probably 45 meters plus. This is the main channel. The current moves from right to left. In the morning hours, most often there is not a strong stream. Therefore, fish periodically stay there. Further after this channel, with a depth of about 6, there's a slight rise to a small table. A table with a depth of probably 4, 5, after which we fall into a coastal ditch. This is essentially a second channel because earlier here functioned a drain to the left of me, which simply gave a reverse current along the stream. That is, the main channel goes from right to left, and here from left to right there was a distinctly expressed reverse flow. During the spring period, the close distance was unrivaled. Now it's a dead zone. We'll be poking around everywhere. To where exactly the fish are, no one knows. Possibly echo sounders, and some modern devices can show this. But today, the main feature is, we'll talk about how to work on 2 fronts simultaneously. When to move, how to set the fish before feeding, not before feeding in such a situation. So we'll see at what distance we will have a reaction. In fact, there are about 50 meters now, and about 30 we will be fiddling with these 2 spots. I have baited both spots. I chose the first spot, the distant one, as the main one, because as you can see, there are anglers present lining up with them. I currently have no desire to compete because this is already the 5th or 6th trip attempting to shoot a video. They all somehow were unproductive. Therefore, the first spot is abundantly baited, with a carved component. This is the distant spot, and then the closer spot is baited. Since I plan to start from the distant spot, checking it first, that's why it was baited first. The second spot is the closer one. We will move to it. If out of 4 or 5 casts there are no fish contacts, we will move to the closer one. If there are no contacts in 4 or 5 casts on the closer one, we will go to the distant one. We will mix in this way, the first probably 40 minutes. Further, if this doesn't bring us any results at all, both spots will just be silent. We feed the fish again at Pampricam, again the far one, the near one, and start working in this carousel again. If any spot starts to come alive, we already on site start dealing with the realization of bites and with the bait, leader length, hook size, and so on. If contacts continue, we stay on one spot. Periodically, we can of course check the second one, which seems not to work. If there are any reactions on it too, then for convenience, of course, we'll choose the near one and work with it. In such a carousel, we can quickly determine at which boundaries the fish holds and at what depths. Regarding the bait composition, so as not to risk, without any ambitions for bonus fish, without any ambitions for huge catches, and since this is still a format of some kind of search, I prepared it on the spot with a thermos. It's room temperature water, no boiling water. The composition is very simple, but it has a certain feature. It's its fraction. Its fraction should be as fine as possible and almost like dust. But the dust should not float or fly, but be an inert feed. This corresponds to the Grand Series Turbo Bream bait. This is 2 packs as a base, which even as a mono composition is very good. Last winter I had bream and black bream. Black bream has hints of peanuts, with slight hints of chocolate. So it's a standard not too fragrant feed, with fine fraction, so that the fish that are not very active are not overfed and work only on the live component. Live component. Just as I said, at the feeding spot, I didn't give it in pure form. It's also cut, that is, to only evoke emotions in the fish, to call them to the spot, and the only thing to eat is the bait. As for the main feed composition, the main trick is there are extracts which, possibly, if everything goes bad, we'll add. We'll experiment drop by drop, trying to aromatically highlight our spot, call the fish, but the rest depends on the species composition. We'll figure out who swims to us. If it's roof, then they don't need this aroma at all. Contrary to all expectations, the first hour turned out to be quite optimistic. But we are experienced guys. We don't believe in such tales. So far, it's working very well. The distant edge. I switched during this hour to the closer one. The bites are much slower. Just once every 3 or 4, and only one fish caught from there. It's some kind of bream, just about 200 grams. Maximum. And the main fish are good breams 500. 600. Were caught from the far edge. The bites started almost immediately there. That is, the first contact was literally on the second cast. The fish responded right away. It's working for now. Bloodworm on the hook. A bunch of 3 or 4 pieces. On a long leader, 1.2 meters. Closer edge. After bringing in one bream, it just turned off. The far edge still works. The main nuance found so far. Either I just have fish at the spot and the right edge. Is the cut component. Very well cut bloodworm gathers fish at the spot. The current is stronger there. The signal goes much further from the cut component and gathers fish at the spot much better. One of the good bites. Long reeling in. Since after all through this, I am normally tipping over a heavy feeder, a bullet and further, there's a ledge, which is already like the nearest slope and the ledge. I have to constantly keep my hands very high to tip over. Pulled everything fine and it came off. This bream, I already saw it directly. It's such a 2-2 plus. Well, plus a little more. So the fish is there, working at a long distance. Let's see what happens second because the weather is starting to blow. And they also promised snow. So far the first hour is not dull, but productive and quite interesting. Well, for now, in the live component, the feed is like this. Guys, an emergency happened. Well, I think you can already hear it by the sound. The camera fell. The microphone crashed. The connector is broken. We'll have to record as it is, using the phone's front camera. Well, the quality seems okay, but I'll try to fix the sound during editing. I hope these backgrounds don't interfere too much. In fact, the first hour, everything went perfectly. The second hour, just suddenly everything stopped. And then colleagues sitting on the left started catching from the near edge. I moved there. Without extra feeding, but at a distance by the way before leaving, I still fed. It didn't give results. I'll say right away, moving forward, I moved to the near edge. From the near edge, just from the first cast a small bream. About 200 grams just like it was from the start. Another one followed and bites were happening every minute. Unfortunately, it was not possible to catch all the fish. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. That when you come to Lad Karina and fish on the near ditch, be sure to bring blanks of river build. That is, a fast blank with a test of about 100. It can be 120,130, and height 3 and 9, 4 and 2. The distance is small, about 30 meters, but nevertheless, to reliably catch all the fish from behind this huge, rocky brow, it's better to have a stiff rod. With straight arms, it's all just lifting, not pumping out. When the blank is constantly being adjusted, put down, up, just hands up the hill and pull it all over yourself. Now accordingly, it won't work to shoot this, but the idea was gorgeous. I wanted to talk about this exactly. In my version, it's a Gretham 13 foot, quite nimble and river blank, which worked at this close distance. But the only thing I messed up was the leads. 0.9 lead and 3 fish remained. There's a feeder coming out and starts tipping over. The fish just pokes its nose into this brow and starts gently rubbing the leash. Today I lost 3 fish there at the far edge. My 14-foot blank worked war model with such a reserve because the current, as I said, closer to lunch, they turned on such a good current. A 70 bullet was on the verge of being swept away. There was a bite. The bite is still ongoing. No, after all, it spat. And at the far edge, accordingly, I worked with a 70 grams heavy bullet, like a Serbian format, even dragged it on bites. Accordingly, about an hour and a half later, -2 there constantly started sticking garbage on the cord. Indicates that, after all, the city drains started working, and the fish just retreat from there. Accordingly, an awesome close range worked, bit again with an exit there 7 fish paws. Caught again. Nutella made everything shine again. Everything became good. About the hooks. There wasn't any strong shamanism. If it fits, it will sway. After about 10 seconds, it bites normally. This is silver 16th to 14th in terms of leader length. Standard is 80 to 120 centimeters. Short leaders. It can't stand a bunch of bloodworms here. That's 5 or 6 pieces. 4 rarely. And everything is stable and smooth with the same presentation. Suddenly constant Nutella, practically not a single maggot was harmed. So fishing is as always. Some mixed feelings. But the most important thing is that I think I caught 5-6 kilograms for sure. Let's see, and I hope that there is a result. Despite the fact that this is already the 5th trip, this February is some kind of vicious. Still, winter fishing is a strange topic. Because it's the 5th trip. Now even the microphone, someone jinxed me. I hope it wasn't you, buddy. I hope I can still record today. And let's see what we managed to catch. Russian pond. Something today. Silent. But there's a miracle. A little bit. But the size is just right. So work on 2 fronts. And the sizes will vary. Sometimes bigger further, sometimes bigger closer. Find your fish and success is guaranteed.